Welcome, welcome.
Howdy.
It's the Duluth Conservative, where we talk about political issues, news for Duluth, news for Minnesota, news for the nation, international, and actually anything we want to, because we're not tied down by any producers.
Yeah. No one's telling us what to do.
That's right. And look at us go.
Yep.
Well, how was your week, Dave? Before we get into it, how are you? Hi, Dave. Good evening.
I was good until we worked out last night, and now I'm in now I'm in pain and everything hurts. And I didn't think we had that tough of a workout, but this morning I woke up and I was definitely feeling last night. So
I was that way last night, so you finally caught up. All right, well, let's. I stuck this in now. I've got a headline. Oh no! Did you just do something to the headers?
No, I wasn't touching it. I see it jumped around, but
okay, I think I fixed it. Okay, sorry about that.
Okay.
So I thought I'd do headlines at the beginning of this one because we have some big stories to talk about first, and then we'll get into Duluth and stuff. So the big headlines we want to talk about first is, and I'll lay them out here, and then we'll go into detail. There's a big thing coming up, and I don't know how many people have heard about it because the news media has been very quiet about it, but it appears that Barack Obama was heavily involved with the fake RussiaGate propaganda that came out after Donald Trump was elected. And it sounds like he was involved with it before, while he was still president, and even after he was out of office. So we'll cover that into a little more detail coming up. I want to talk about this Cincinnati Mob attack where I think 4 people got beaten down pretty severely outside of a jazz festival, which jazz, what is it about jazz that makes you upset? That should be the most mellow, just easygoing crowd there ever saw. So I don't know about that, but I don't know if that's gotten a lot of traction. And then something maybe nobody's ever heard about, but the Sydney Sweeney ad for American Eagle, and I want to talk about that. That's all people are talking about. But I thought, it's not a definitive thing until the 2 guys from Duluth, Minnesota talk about it.
Exactly.
Because really, we have the insight people are looking for.
We have the insight of Hollywood, so we know what's going on.
Exactly. So let's dive into this first. Let's talk about the Obama tie-in to the fake Russia news. So the thing about it is that this isn't getting covered very heavily in the news outlets. And it's kind of surprising to me because this is a pretty big deal. This, as they say, makes Watergate look like child's play.
But like you said last week, they cover Obama with kid gloves. So
they always have, yeah.
Yeah. So this is not too far out of their what they're going to do. So.
Yeah, so apparently, I'm going to bring up this article because I just accidentally shut it. Apparently, he was very upset that Donald Trump won the election. Like balled up fist mad. And he was going to do something about it to stifle his the presidency, and which they did a fairly intricate job of doing his first term. They brought up this fake Russian dossier. It was what I'm going to talk about here is what I understand, and I'm not saying it's fact, but my understanding is that Hillary Clinton's campaign paid for this dossier. And what the Department of Homeland Security has found is a bunch of documents tying Obama to it as well. So he was briefed about it, where they gave this Steele dossier no credence. The intelligence agents looked at it and they said, "Look, this doesn't have any credence." And Obama said, "Go back and tell me the answer I want to hear." And so the next day, all of a sudden, they got a different report, and it was very credible. And they call this now RussiaGate because they have to append everything with the word gate ever since 1972 because it's really cool. But Tulsi Gabbard has declassified documents and saying that revealing the spun or manufactured intelligence undergirding the 2017 intelligence community assessment directed by Obama and executed by his top intelligence officials. So Tulsi Gabbard is saying that there's direct evidence of this. And I think more people need to understand that Barack Obama wasn't this nice guy, this wonderful man. He was a politician, and he was from Chicago. And you marry those two together, and you've got pretty deep corruption typically. So I'm glad if there is evidence of it and he actually did this, I hope they go after him, because as they were so apt to say when Donald Trump was being gone after for, changing laws so that they could persecute him, nobody is above the law. So let's see if that works out.
Well, yeah, and they did arrest President Trump and charge him. So, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, and they can easily arrest former President Barack Obama.
Absolutely.
Just, that's part of their playbook. So, I mean, I know that past presidents have certain amount of immunity, but I don't think they can do stuff like that. So,
well, that's the interesting thing about the immunity too, that if he does have immunity, they can call him in to testify and he can invoke the Fifth Amendment. So that means if he goes up there and he perjures himself, they can go after him for that. Or does he implicate the people involved? Or does he just say, I refuse to answer? I don't know the rules are for that, because the refuse to answer is, I invoke the Fifth Amendment to not be able to perjure myself, or not to be able to incriminate myself. You don't have that right, and you don't answer. I don't know what they can do, but I think we're going to find out.
Yeah, it's a big mess that's coming our way. So,
right. All right, we'll go on to the next little article, which is this beatdown at the Cincinnati Jazz Festival. Now, I have links to it, and I'm going to put it into the comments, but I don't want to show it because they do have a video of them beating these guys. There's one guy that gets beaten and gets knocked down onto the ground, gets up, gets knocked down again, gets up, gets knocked down again. I mean, it's over and over again.
Yeah.
But there's this woman, this white woman standing there, and she's arguing with somebody, and this guy just clocks her out. I mean, this is a man, a full-grown man, and not a very big woman, and he just punches her. She goes on her back, and her eyes are open. So she's been knocked cold, but she's not dead, but she's completely dazed.
Right.
And then what I see is these women going up and taking her jewelry off, her arms and her earrings out. That's like an animal. That's not a person anymore.
Right.
And the other thing about it that I find odd is the media is not really covering this either.
No, it doesn't fit their agenda. So
here they finally, because of public outrage, these two got arrested, and then this is the police chief, and I seem to notice all the police chiefs are starting to look alike.
Yeah,
they're older white women.
Correct.
And so I saw her news conference. She came on the news conference and then basically just chastised the media. So what she said was there was like 100 people taking videos of it. They got their phones out and they're all taking videos. One person called 911.
Yeah.
But then the other interesting thing was she says, hey, you know what? We're going to arrest everybody involved with this fight. Anybody that put hands on somebody else is going to be involved with this fight. So if you're defending yourself in Cincinnati, you're subject to arrest as well.
Yeah. That's pretty disgusting of her to say stupid stuff like that.
What does she expect people to do if they're getting hit? I mean, does she expect them to just take it? I mean, the guy eventually got beaten so bad he couldn't respond anymore, and the woman definitely couldn't respond, but she wasn't fighting. She just stood there and was clocked with a right hook.
Right.
But,
correct.
The Cincinnati police chief, hey, everybody's going to go to jail for this. I think it's just crazy.
Yeah. Obviously, she's learning from Minnesota, where you can't defend yourself. You have to take it. And if you defend yourself with any sort of violence or thing, you're guilty too. So
right, the run and hide principle.
Yeah,
and hope for the best.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to move on.
Ridiculous.
now that we've kind of educated people, if they haven't heard of those two stories, now you can look them up for yourself. And oh yeah, I wanted to show this. I'll just one more thing. This is the picture of the woman who got clocked. That is a beating. Look at her face. I mean, it's all yellow.
Yeah.
Severe, probably maybe even eye damage here. She gave permission to release the photos, so I'm showing them here, and they're not as gross. I'm not showing the video of her getting punched down, but that is just crazy.
Yeah, and they were outnumbered, 100 to 1 or something like that. And,
oh, it was a mob. It was a mob.
Yeah, it was a mob that just went after them. So,
right.
So basically, if you go to Cincinnati, make sure you have 100 of your friends with you to protect you.
That is the way to protect yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about it. Everybody wants to talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm going to show. Oh, what did I just do? I just hit X or something. So, oh man. Okay, here we go. I'm going to show this Sydney Sweeney ad.
Sydney Sweeney has great genes.
All right. That's one of the ads. There's several other ads like that. People are losing their freaking minds about this. There's people saying that this is Nazism. It's genetic, saying that she's genetically superior to everybody, and because the play on words between genes and genes. And I think it's very clever advertising for sure. It reminds me of the Brooke Shields ads from the 80s. People remember that. Yeah. I didn't really like that because she was underage. At least Sydney Sweeney's 27. So it's not like it's the same creepy kind of feeling of watching those. I didn't even like those back then. But yeah, the outrage on this, and I think it's just partially because there's outrage and partially because it's just fun to talk about this because it's so stupid. But the people that are getting upset about that are mostly women, white women, who that I've seen. So I'm not saying it's all white women. I'm just saying what I've seen is a bunch of white women and one guy that are just complaining about this, saying it's, you're being a racial bigot, you're being a fascist. I don't even understand that concept of being a fascist, but we've got things like this being said. After seeing that Sydney Sweeney jeans ad, I am so effing done. Fascism is normalized in today's world. Trump is somehow Donald Trump got involved with this, of course. Trump is ruining America. My partner thinks it's okay, and it just makes me so scared for the future of one nation under Trump, in Trump's America. I think this person may have a problem.
I know. When I was watching that ad, the only thing I could think about was the Holocaust, really. I mean, she's driving a Ford Mustang, and working on it, and yeah, the Holocaust came to my head the whole time.
Oh yeah, it's Nazis all over. So here's a great commercial. Here is a response to it.
Hey, you want to go to American Eagle?
Oh, I can't go in there because I'm black.
In the words of Jasmine Crockett, the math ain't mathing on this one for me. So nowhere does it say, so she's a blonde haired, because I think she's colored her hair blonde, blue-eyed white woman. And they're not saying that only she has great genes. I mean, if you had Jessica Alba go on there, you could have the same ad. She's got great genes. She looks fantastic. Yeah. You could even put guys on. You could put Schwarzenegger in this, like the 80s. He's got great genes because look at him. He's a physical specimen. But just because they did this one, they're going out of their brains for it. And it seems like they're just waiting for the outrage. So I'm going to show you another one. And this has a little bit of, this is the first response I saw, and then some reaction to it. So check this out.
We'd be surprised that a company whose name is literally American Eagle is making fascist propaganda like this. Probably not, but it's still really shocking. Like a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white woman is talking about her good genes. Like, that is Nazi propaganda.
I mean, I didn't see it. Shelley, what are you? They're calling this Nazi propaganda just because a white girl is advertising jeans.
I listened to the rest of this. I won't go on because this is another 7 minutes of this. But I like these ladies because I think they're our age. I think they just like, what is this? This is psychotic.
Yeah, it's just crazy. I think this is just Trump derangement system. Is like they're going to associate everything with Trump. Everything is bad. Everything is horrible. You can't have a white, blonde, blue-eyed girl advertising anything.
Just because she's blonde-haired and blue-eyed and white doesn't mean that she's evil, and doesn't mean that, okay, oh, finally, we got our Nazi propaganda back to show that we're superior. It doesn't mean she's superior to probably a lot of girls out there. She's not the best-looking girl in the world, but she's natural. She's not all sculpted with plastic surgery and butt implants and all that stuff. As far as I can tell, she just looks like a regular girl to me.
And if you look at the advertisement, they spell the word jeans as a pair of pants, not jeans, the biological sense of it. So
yeah, it's a play on words.
It's a play on words, but they're only talking about the jeans that she's wearing.
Well, they actually have one that's like a banner, and it says Sydney Sweeney has great genes with the G, and it's crossed out, and it has it spelled jeans underneath it, and she's doing it. So, and she's clearly in on the joke. I mean, you're supposed to be in on the joke. Here's one of the articles I saw that was a little odd to me, though. This is your favorite site, by the way. But from MSNBC, Sydney Sweeney's ad shows an unbridled cultural shift towards whiteness. And then advertisements are always mirrors of society, and sometimes what they reflect is ugly and startling. So what does this imply if the ads are an unbridled shift towards whiteness? What does that mean? That we've had a cultural shift away from whiteness, whatever that means. It's the people that are obsessed with race and gender and all that stuff. That's where the problem comes in.
Well, those are your two fascists. I mean, like, because everything you have is based on race. They're the racists. No matter what it is, it has to be some sort of racism.
Right.
So if that's all you think about when you wake up in the morning, then that's what's going to happen.
Right. So we're going to do a little public service announcement here. Oops, not that one. That's a different one. Let me do. Aha. What is fascism? So when they're talking about that, they say that this commercial is fascism, a populist political philosophy, movement, or regime that exalts nation and often race above the individual, that is associated with a centralized autocratic government. Well, I think she was saying that in the commercial too. Sydney Sweeney has great genes and a centralized autocratic government. Headed by a dictatorial leader, and is characterized by a severe economic and social regimentation and by forcible suppression of opposition. This sounds like our leftist friends to me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, let's remove Democrat Republican from the left and the right situation. And the more left you go is the more authoritarian, more government does everything. Socialism, communism. If you go to the right, you have liberalism, which is basically no government whatsoever. So fascism, like it just says, that's way over on the left. That's probably farther left than Democrat is.
Right.
So when you hear a Democrat calling it fascism, that makes zero sense, because especially calling Trump a fascist, because he's not authoritarian. He's farther, he's a conservative Republican, and fascism is very far, far left.
Right.
It's very simple. So
Yeah,
what they're saying makes no sense.
Nazis, that has the word socialist in it.
Yeah.
They were a socialist party. So, it would be nice if people didn't take this stuff so seriously. It's just a silly ad.
Yes.
It's fun to talk about though, because I enjoy it when they produce such lunacy as far as their reaction to things that matter to only them. This should be nothing more than a wink and a nod and yeah, I get it. Yep. She's good looking. I mean,
yeah.
She's 27-year-old, good looking girl. And yeah, there you go. You could put just about anybody in there. They chose to start with her. I'm guessing she's not the only one, but they're going to stick with her for a while because she's a big name. She's an actress. If she was just a model, I would expect to see a series of these things. But
right. Well, their stock price went up 21% as of this morning. So they're creating a fake narrative worked very well for the company. So
right. And I like their reaction. You know what it's been? I haven't heard a thing yet. I haven't heard a statement from them. I haven't heard a statement from her. They're playing it just right because there's no good response they could give. Correct. So they just revel in it. I happened to be at the mall yesterday and I saw the sign. I saw her big. I was like, yeah, no different from a Victoria's Secret. And she's not even like tarted up or anything, right? She's wearing a shirt. She's almost fully, covered in a shirt and jeans. So it's.
Yeah, so let's start yelling at Jay Leno, because that's basically what he's wearing. He wears jean shirts, jean pants.
You're right. Now that I think about it, that's a Jay Leno outfit right there.
Yeah, so that's next ad. We're gonna have Jay Leno on there and cause another controversy. So because he wears blue jeans.
Jay does not have good jeans.
No.
Anything else on these, or should we move on to the local Duluth news?
That's sad as can be. So,
all right, that's the headlines, people. Let's move on. So we're going to go to the local Duluth news, and I'm going to start with the spicier stuff, and then I'm going to move on to some events that are coming to Duluth that I like to point out and make sure people are aware of. But I don't know if anybody saw this. I just happened to go across this. But we have a Duluth assistant superintendent arrested for a DWI. And he doesn't look quite happy.
No.
And, DWI is not like he's murdering children or anything. It's not a great thing to do. It's not a, you're a terrible person kind of thing. It's stupid. You should know better. Maybe you shouldn't be a superintendent at Duluth School District. We're teaching, you have to do with teaching kids, but at the same time, let's not go crazy on this. But, it was worth pointing out that he did get caught for this and pulled over for it.
Well, that you got to remember back pre-COVID or right around the COVID time, the East football coach showed up at the school, not drunk, but with drinks in his system, and they fired him because of it.
Well,
so if he's, the cops came and told him to leave and he left and nothing happened. He didn't drive drunk. And he got fired for doing that. So this guy, following the same rules,
yes, then
he should also be removed from office.
Well, and the coach wasn't even arrested, right? I mean, he showed up having had drinks.
Correct. And
so, yeah, I mean, on the surface, without, an inch deep into the knowledge of everything, it seems if that guy was fired, then this guy should be fired too.
Correct.
I don't like calling for people to get fired for stuff that they do that are stupid, but you should apply the rules equally to everybody too. And that includes the superintendent.
Yeah, because he's way higher up as far as the seniority and superiority than the football coach. So
Right. All right. Hey, guess what our Duluth City councilors did, Dave? They gave themselves pay raise. Not just a small pay raise. They gave themselves almost a 25% pay raise. I don't know about you. It doesn't look like Eric Forsman's very happy about being up there. Yeah, so
that's pretty good for a volunteer job. Yeah.
Not bad. I mean, they went from 1,100 to 1,400. That's a pretty good bump in raise in pay. Yep. And it was. So here's a statement from them. Approving a pay increase for elected officials amid such financial constraints sends the wrong message to taxpayers in the city workforce, especially when we're being asked to consider perhaps program cuts and delayed infrastructure improvements. Leadership must begin with shared sacrifice and shared credibility. But then, Therese Tomadek said, there are people that need to take the bus to get here or pay for gas for their car. There are people that need to pay a babysitter. We don't want this body to be only made up of people that can afford to do this and not get paid equitably. She doesn't understand the word equitably, by the way.
No.
But it's always this, oh, poor us. I mean, we're just doing this to help you. This is for the poor people. We just so happen to all have jobs and be able to pay for it. But, you know, as was, like you said, essentially a volunteer job to be a city, elected city official.
Right.
How much are you working? You have what, two meetings a month and maybe some other volunteer stuff? This isn't a huge drag. And many of these people, I don't mean to keep pulling Eric Forsman, but I know of him the most. He has a full-time job and he does this.
Right.
So don't try to make it sound so self-sacrificing and make it sound so what we're doing is just a public service. And we need to be able to have people that don't have any money be able to do this because it's not free to run for these elections. Unless you put time into a sign or get the Democrat endorsement, is what they all do.
Yep.
You're not going to have any money to do this. So stop acting like you're doing this out of the charity of your heart. You're doing this so you can have a raise because you think you deserve it.
Yeah, and we know how expensive running for office nowadays is.
It's crazy.
Yeah, spending or raising that kind of money to run for office, you're actually spending more. You're trying to raise more than you're actually making as a politician.
Right.
So that doesn't make any sense either. Why is there so much fundraising money? So even with this, even at their higher rate, a poor person can't do it because you have to raise so much money to even people know you're there, to even know you're running. Just ridiculous.
So yeah, to try to make it sound like they're looking out for the little guy by taking a raise, that's pure politics right there.
Right.
I didn't hear her say, we have to make sure people can get paid. So what I will do is take a pay cut to make sure that the people who can't afford it can get here. And if gas and a babysitter is costing you more than what, $1,100 a month, you probably should look for, I think Forsman brought his kids to the frickin' place when he was doing it. If the bus ride is more than $1,400 or $1,100 a month, you're taking the wrong kind of bus. It strikes me as the same argument as, poor people can't get a driver's license. They don't know how, they don't know where to get it. They're too poor to get it. It's the same thing. It's an unsolvable problem, Dave. We just need to throw more money at it.
Yeah. Yeah, but to see that article, they're complaining about how the budget for Duluth is they're going to start cutting programs and how horrible everything is. But in that same meeting, they just approved $725,000 for 22 people to get housing assistance, and it has to do with up that back up some one roof organization that has something to do with the San Marco apartments on 3rd Street. So, but Duluth is such in a financial bind that we can't, but spending $725,000 to help 22 people, that's almost $33,000 per person that they're helping.
That's crazy.
So, obviously 90% of it's going to get eaten up with administration costs. But
oh yeah. Those limos outside aren't free,
Yeah, but to have that in the same article is just, to me, was just Duluth have a bad budget problem, and but by the way, we're going to help 22 people with $725,000.
I'd even put a finer point on it. You, as a Duluth citizen, are going to work extra hours this month so we can give money to somebody else so they can have a house.
Correct.
And it's not we're asking you; it's we're taking that from you. You will pay that, and we will do it. Take your money, and we will do with it what we will. We're going to give a little bit to us, because we need an extra raise. Times are tough. And then we're going to give it to these people over here. They also passed the Right to Repair Act, being that it will be on the November ballot. So that will be an interesting thing if it passes. And I think we've talked about that in the past, where it's pretty chilling to people who have rental properties, what they're going to do. Because if they think that you're going to repair before they do, they're going to raise your rent.
Yeah.
If they need to be that responsive, and there's some things that you have to be able to repair. You have to have hot water. You have to have heat. But if it's a broken light out in the hallway, and then you replace it and charge them $50 for it, that's not going to work. So that'll be on the ballot. At least the people get to vote on it. I mean, that's a good thing.
Yeah. But, we're in a 70-30 area. So, because of, legal money laundering from, Democrat Party to unions back to Democrat parties, it's how they get things passed without, oh, we didn't do it. We didn't do it. The people voted. No, you really didn't. So,
and I'm going to do one more Duluth story before we get into the events coming, which is this, which I am sick to death of. But wildfire smoke prompts another air quality alert in northern Minnesota. So if you're not from Duluth or you're watching this from somewhere else, for 5 years in a row now, we get 3 to 4 months of good weather here in the city. And this year would have been beautiful because I can tell you can see through the smoke that would be blue skies today. And it had been blue skies for a long time.
Yeah.
We have been, I don't know how many days under this threat and this haziness. I can look outside my window. I can see the smoke. You can smell it when you go outside. And it's been 5 years of this. And so many days this year have been under this wildfire smoke. Only when we get a southerly wind do we get out of it. And we only get out of it for a day or two, and then it's freaking back.
Or it's raining.
And you look into why is this? Well, it's because a lot of things. It's that Canada doesn't spend very much money on their wildfire prevention. They have a policy. They have ecological policies that just let it burn. They don't try to stop it. It's a completely different mindset in the United States. The United States, we try to put these things out and do it fast. They just let this stuff burn, or they don't want to spend the money on it, or they don't think it's, it's always about human global warming too. If you look at the lists, because I was looking at lists of why is this happening? What's going on? One of them, human global warming. Like that's a definitive answer. Like we know for sure this is happening. And this is why these fires are now breaking out, which we never had fire before.
Right.
We don't know how to handle fire, Right. Apparently we're cavemen. And I also been watching about or reading about these zombie fires they're talking about, where the fires actually are running all winter in this peat moss stuff, and they don't put them out. They've got a lot of water up there. They should be able to put these fires out.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this last week. Is we learned our lesson from the 1919 Hinckley fire about putting in fire breaks, cleaning out the forest for the stuff that burns. They're not doing that. The environmentalists won. So this is the result of Canada's mismanagement of the forests.
Right.
Flat
and
out.
They also they're not nationalized. Every province deals with their fires differently. Get your stuff together, Canada. Figure it out. And quit lecturing us on all the things you think we do wrong. You can't even handle this. And it's been affecting us for 5 years in this, every single year, the last 5 years. And it's so much of our summer is destroyed now. This last week has been 3 out of the 4 days. We haven't been able to go outside. You're not supposed to go outside. It was 172 air quality index when I got up today. So I'm not harp on this too long, but Jesus, Canada, figure this out.
Yeah, and we had some between Minnesota and Wisconsin. We had Republican representatives that sent a letter up there and said, "Hey, what are you doing about it?" And basically, Canada wouldn't respond. They said, "Oh, it's too soon. There's people have died in this. Oh, you don't care about people dying." It's like, well, this is the fifth year. Like you said, it's the fifth year that's been going on. If you would have fixed the problem 4 years ago, people wouldn't have been dying because you would have fixed the problem. So let's get on it, fix the problem.
Plus, can you walk and chew gum at the same time? You can. I don't like that people died. That's horrible. Fix your problem. And if they're not sending an alert, people will say, well, what good does that do? Well, at least it tells them that we're noticing, that we are aware of it. And that's the first step. I mean, you have to at least present it and go, can you guys take care of this? Now, maybe steps happen after that, but you can't take the second step before you take the first step, which is just telling them, get your stuff in order. Every time they talk about Canada being the 51st state, I mean, like, I'd hate to have that happen because I won't want to, import that community of people.
Import stupidity.
But boy, could we use it to get rid of some of this stuff? Maybe get some stuff and take over and fix it.
And that's why none of the Minnesota Democrats signed on to that letter, is because they're trying to do the same thing to Minnesota, turning Minnesota into a environmental place where they can't. So we can't stop the fires. This is a result of their short-term thinking. So they would just get it thrown back in their face. So they're just quiet about it. So like a ton of other things they're quiet about. So.
All right. I'm going to move on. As my wife would probably tell me, hey, you're too mad and you're too serious. So let's talk about some good stuff here. Let's have some fun. And I'm going to talk about some stuff that's going on in Duluth coming up this next couple of weeks. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is FinFest. And this is the article in the Duluth Tribune, and I don't know what to make of this. There's pigs in dresses and top hats. Okay, yes, Finlanders like their vodka. This might have something to do with that. I don't know. But this has started today, and it goes through Sunday. If you are curious about Finnish culture, and I bring this up because I am a half Finnish, I like to bring up this thing. I went to it last year. It's a great event to see people staring down and not talking to each other, because that's what we do.
That's about right.
So,
do you know where it is?
It's at the deck.
It's at the deck. Okay.
I think this is the 3-year of a 5-year commitment to do it in Duluth. They've traveled it around, but then they kind of settled here. And I thought it was permanently here, but I think they signed 5 years. It may behoove them to move it around because people are going to start getting, bored doing the same thing every year.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I went to it. I went and got some food. It was great. And so I went to the Greek festival up at Marshall a couple of weeks ago, got some Greek food. That was really good. I went to the FinFest. I got some Finnish food. That was really good. I have not found a country yet that I haven't liked the food if I just find a really good cook for it.
Right.
For a long time, Indian food was not my favorite, but I went to my friend's daughter's graduation ceremony, and she's Indian, and they had a lot of really real Indian food, and I was having her walk me through and tell me what was good. It was fantastic. So I did like what she had to serve. So that's FinFest. It'll be here till Sunday. Next thing that I want to talk about is drag racing. It's coming back to Duluth. It's been out for a while.
Yep.
But it's coming down to Twin Ports, and it will be on Garfield Avenue for the first time since 2019. So you know about this, right, Dave?
Very little. I might have some relatives that are going to be going down to there this year, but they just take. It's a short track because normally like Brainerd is a quarter mile, where this is an eighth of a mile, so it's not very far. They still do some pretty impressive speeds, and it's mostly more of a street legal car versus a straight on race car.
Yeah, you can see that in the pictures.
Yeah, so you'll recognize the cars a lot better. It's an interesting event. A lot of fast cars. So yeah, it's something worth going to look at.
I didn't even know this was here. I mean, I'm surprised because I would love to go to something like this, but I didn't even know about it. Looks like we got a Camaro here and a Mustang here. That's pretty cool. Yeah, GT35H Ford Mustang and a Chevy Camaro. Look at that. I used to be able to identify cars up until about 1993, and then they all started to look the same to me.
Right, exactly.
The next thing I want to talk about is City on the Hill. City on the Hill is coming, and it will be here Friday and Saturday, and that's going to be at the Bayfront Vesicle Park and the Canal Park area. I went to it last year. We actually had a booth for the Minnesota House election stuff. It was great. They had good music. They had a lot of good people. Last year we got rained out for a while. So that was a pretty good event though. A lot of good people that go to that. A lot of good food. If you like food trucks, man, that's the place to go.
Right. Yep, definitely.
Check that out if you're available and you want to see something like that. What else we got?
It's mostly about the food. Just go to these events and eat. We'll get to that down in health and fitness. So
I think that's all I have for stuff. If anybody has watching and knows stuff, put it in the comments and we'll talk about it. Do you have anything else for Duluth?
No, that pretty much covers it.
All right. We will move on to Minnesota Legislature and Minnesota State News. So Nicole Mitchell, the cat burglar, the woman who was convicted of going into her mother-in-law's house or stepmother's and burgling it, was found guilty, and she has finally resigned. So now there's going to be a special election for her on Tuesday, November 4th for her district. I don't know. Do you know how she won last time? How much she won by?
I heard 9 points.
So not insurmountable.
No, it definitely capable of winning by the Republican. It's basically up in the air. But then also in the Republican that just passed away. His election will be on the same day, so they're making. Okay. So for his seat, they're going to do another special election for that part too. So both of them will be held, like you said, Tuesday, November 4th. I thought they had 60 days to fill it, but obviously not. So, which is fine, and they're not in session anyways, so it doesn't really matter, I guess. So,
my wife has sent me a text, and this is a follow-up to the Duluth City Council giving them those raises. And it's on Northern News Now, and the headline is City Preparing Residents for Significant 2026 budget shortfall. The budget deficit grew to more than $7 million.
Yeah.
So what you going to do, City of Duluth? Are you going to cut taxes? Or are you going to cut benefits and cut programs? Or are you going to kill us with taxes? Let me guess what you're going to do.
They only know one route.
Yep.
Oh, we can't reduce a program. Heaven forbid we drop a program.
Yeah. Okay. What are you trying to literally kill people?
Yeah.
So
Fascists.
brings me to another thought that after the primary, maybe we should do it before the primary. Primary is coming up pretty quick. We need to get all the Duluth City Council people invited to come on the show or do an interview so that we can talk to them. Because I want to know what they think about this and what their plans are. And I know what a couple of them are going to say, but I still want to hear it and see if they have a reasoned approach to how they're going to do what they're going to do. The one we talked about last week that was endorsed by the Socialist. Well, I know what he's going to plan to do.
Right.
Take everybody's stuff and give it to other people. But let's hear him say that and then figure out if he has a plan. Maybe he has this ingenious plan I'd never thought of, and he can talk to us about it. But so we'll have to do that. I think we'll have to do it after the primary because it's coming up, I think, in a week. So it's not enough time to try to get everybody on. We'll do it and see who's actually going to be running after the primary and go from there.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to move on to Tim Walz. And I know he's your favorite. He's my favorite too.
He's our comic relief.
Yes.
Because everything he does is just dumber than the last part, and and we need to set up a poll to find out who's the dumbest Democrat. Because we got AOC, we got
that would be a good poll. Yeah, we have so many people we could put on, but that's a great poll. We should do that.
We need to do a poll on that one. Because Walz would be up there too, because he just does. He's trying to win that poll all the time.
He's working hard.
And he's working hard at it.
So let's talk about the first thing, that Walz is leaving this National Governors Association. And from this, it says sources stay. I don't know if they've actually done it or not. And this was from 4 days ago. It's citing, why are they leaving, Dave? It cites lack of pushback to Trump administration policies. So you get all the governors together to try to work out problems between the states and everything. And this mountain of a man, this alpha dude,
yep,
the toxic masculinity, the guy they were afraid of because he's so masculine, has decided we're not going to do this anymore. And my first question when I was coming is, who pays for this? Are we paying for him to be in this thing? Because I was looking at it, it said part of it was from state dues. State dues. You know what? I'm glad you're quitting it. And then any money we were supposed to give to him goes back into the general fund. So that's our Governor Walz here.
Yeah, spending more money that doesn't need to be spent.
And then since we're talking about Governor Walz, we can't not talk about fraud, because that's what his administration is all about. That's basically the hallmark of his administration, is fraud. So it looks like the state suspends payment to most providers and program at center of new fraud investigation. Department of Human Services confirmed it stopped payment to 50 housing stabilization service providers. 50 of them. Yeah. How did it get this bad?
Yeah, we just talked about a story about Duluth giving $725,000 to basically a same type of firm. So how do we know that they're legitimate?
It's just fantastic.
Yeah.
So now, like we've talked about before too, remember, Walz was never talking about fraud until we got a split house. When he had the trifecta, fraud wasn't even talked about. The media wouldn't talk about it. They wouldn't talk about it. If you brought it up to them, they just brushed you off. The only time he ever became semi-serious about this was when the House got split.
Right.
So now he is maybe going for his third term. I think he said if he goes for governorship, he's not going to go for president or something. So many, he dashed the hopes of 3 people that he's not going to go for president. But now he's starting to try to make it look like he's serious about it. It's nice that our governor could get up in his best blue jeans for this. He's got good jeans, Dave.
He's got good jeans, yeah. A blue shirt.
Wow. He's Jay Leno.
And then that Sweeney ad you showed, she was working on a car. Well, that just fits his manliness right there.
Oh my God.
He can open a hood and fix anything.
He's the next ad.
Yep.
Oh yeah. And you're talking about good jeans. I mean, look at it. He's an Adonis. Walz activated the Minnesota National Guard over the St. Paul cyber attack. So there was a cyber attack this last weekend, and Tim activated the National Guard. So I thought that was interesting because it finally found something that he would activate the National Guard on.
Yeah.
Now, not Minneapolis burning for 5 days, police precincts literally being burnt down to the ground, but a cyber attack that might release information, and we don't want that.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't want information he's already buried and trying to burn coming out on him. So, yeah, he's definitely going to try to put a stop to that. So,
I don't know what I just hit, but I jumped out of the studio for a second. So whatever you said, I missed. But you're right, Dave.
Continuing your thought that he's a moron. So,
All right.
He's gonna bury everything somewhere.
Right.
So he's, obviously you can't have the hackers in there trying to find information on him.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Got to keep that stuff buried.
Maybe that's the Doge team trying to find out what's actually happening in Minnesota.
Oh, wouldn't that be awesome?
Since our Secretary of State won't release the voting records, and we'll get to that later too.
Yeah, we're going to come up to that pretty quick here. I just wanted to bring up this one thing, and this is what we talked about with our guest a couple weeks ago, which is the scandal tracker.
Yeah.
And this is from American Experiment, right?
Correct. Yep. Yeah, I thought it was interesting since we were talking about all this other stuff that we actually, someone's actually tracking the fraud that he's doing. Fraud is just continuing to be in the paper. Now you can go to this website on American Experiment and look up the scandal tracker, I think is what it's called. And it shows you exactly what this is just the stuff we know about.
Right.
And we're not even talking about the stuff we don't know about.
Right.
So,
$661 million. That's since he took office. This is only during his administration. They started this under the Dayton administration, but I didn't see any dollar signs under here.
Right.
So yeah, look at this. $300 million for feeding our future. Department of Education in charge of that.
Right.
Federal Child Nutrition Program, $168,000. Department of Education. It's just crazy. And this feeding our future too, man. That's taking money out of the mouths of people that actually needed it.
Right.
So I thought I'd share that.
Yeah. So how what's the true number? 2 billion, 3 billion, 10 billion?
Right.
Because he's not. They voted down the Democrats voted down to set up another committee to find the. And no Doge in Minnesota, and now with Simon not releasing records, you just have to ask yourself about corruption. How corrupt is this state? We've already found, there's 600-700 million. It's probably a lot worse than that. So,
right, and you talked about that. You talked about the Minnesota House every Democrat voted against having an independent administration to go and investigate fraud. And that includes Leash Kozlowski and Pete Johnson from Duluth. Your 2 Minnesota representatives from Duluth voted against having an independent person go and investigate fraud in the state. And that should tell you everything you need to know about them.
Yep. And then the second question you ask yourself is, what could we have done with that money?
Right. And how many days did you work last year to pay for that money so they could go to somebody else from that defrauded the government?
Yeah, our schools
how many
need more
days,
money.
how many months out of the year do you work to support this kind of stuff?
Yeah. Because, the schools need money. The city has a shortfall. The hospital, we're running out of ambulance service out of the rural areas because we have no money for them.
Right.
I mean, obviously that's an Obamacare problem, but still, what could we do with $1 billion?
Right.
Give it back to the people who put it in.
Wouldn't that be nice? With interest, like they do for us if we miss our taxes.
Correct. Yep.
So I was trying to lighten it up, and I'm still getting angry about stuff. So that's not good. Let's go on to a more happy. Oh no. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm going to bring this up.
One.
I'm going to bring this up because this is something that's been bothering me for years. Now, this just happened. A missing 22-year-old Wisconsin graduate student found dead in the Mississippi River. The MO is she was at a bar. She left at around 2:30 in the morning. She was walking along the river, and she's found dead in that river. Now, why am I bringing this up? This wasn't even in Minnesota. Because this was happening when my son was in college, and it was happening every single year down in the cities. And it was the same thing every time. A college student left a bar in the wee hours in the morning by themselves, and they ended up in the river. And I don't believe it's accidental. I believe you want to put your conspiracy theory hat on, your mass murder hat on. It seems like these college kids are being targeted and killed and put into the river. I have absolutely no evidence to back that up. It's just seeing this happen time and time and time. I haven't seen it for many years now, but when I saw this, it just triggered that memory of mine because it scared me to death about having my kids in college and having them leave alone and then end up in a river. It just because they both went to school near bodies of water. So I just wanted to bring that up and I hope if this is happening, somebody gets caught.
And there's an actual investigation. I mean, do we have to get does this have to be sent off to the FBI since the states won't do anything about it?
Right. The next thing I'm going to talk about is, I'm not going to bring up a story for this, but the fees are doubling for road test no-shows and late cancellations. So if you try to schedule your driver's test and you don't show up, you're going to get a late fee for it. Now it's double what it used to be. I think it went from 20 to 40.
I mean, it makes sense. I kind of agree with it because people are because the line is so long. You find out that a lot of the driving schools are reserving a lot of these spots for their future students. So if they're not going to show, then you're wasting other people's times who wants to get their driver's license. So
right. I see it as a punishment, and I get that too. So I understand where you're going with that. But at the same time, this is the same government that will say, well, people can't afford to get only $1,100 a month to work on the city council part-time job because they can't afford bus fare. Right. But they will use money to punish people for other things. And remember, this is a late fee for showing up to a government worker who is being paid by you anyway.
Right.
So are there other ways to punish besides monetarily? Well, how about this? If you don't show up for your test, you can't take a test for a month. Maybe there's other ways to do it without charging money, but they love charging money because that's all they do.
Right.
So Yeah, I get it. I get the point. I understand punishment for not showing up, for showing up late. At the same time, say that out on one side of your mouth and the other side of the mouth, you say, well, we can't live without a 25% raise for the city council because, it's not equitable.
Right.
Uh,
Well, yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Here's a great article. I think you found this one. The lawmakers are questioning the state's extremely puzzling decision to withhold their voter rolls from the Department of Justice. So why is Secretary of State Steve Simon not releasing voter information to the Department of Justice? Why is that? Why does the Minnesota House not vote to have an independent person investigating fraud in this state? Why is there so much rampant fraud in this state? Why is Keith Ellison not doing anything about it but going after Trump? Sooner or later, don't you have to look at this and say, hey, in Minnesota, we've got a pretty big fraud problem. And it seems like the Democrats are the ones that don't want to have anybody looking into it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what's that tell you as a voter? Who are you voting for if you're a Democrat?
Right. Every time you look at corruption, you have the Democrats saying, well, don't look over here.
Mm-hmm.
Look at, it's Trump's fault. He's the problem. He's the fascist, even though fascist is left and Democrats are left. But, there's $1 billion in fraud that we're coming up with for Keith Ellison's not doing anything about, the fraud. Now we have Scott Simon, who's making sure no one can look at his notes.
Yep.
At what point do we say, or, go conspiracy theory, but at what point do you say something stinks in Smallville or wherever we're at? So
yes, I agree. And something stinks. Something stinks bad.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make it better. It doesn't make it better when you say, let's look into it. And they're like, no.
Right.
Especially when it comes to voting. That should be the most open, easily verified thing in the world. If you can put a serial number on every dollar bill, you can give people voter registration and make sure that they're voting. The person that is likely and legally able to vote is doing voting. And you should be able to track it. Not have these mystery ballots show up in the mail a couple days late after election. Voting is critical to this country. Without that, you feel like you're powerless. And powerless people start to do bad things. So that's why you have law and order to begin with.
Yeah, and if you had a serial number on your ballot that the state couldn't recognize, you could go home, check the results, and see what your ballot per your serial number actually showed up as.
Right.
So your serial number would say, I voted for this person, and that's how it got counted.
Mm-hmm.
And that would balance, as an accountant, that would balance out the whole voting rows. These are the people I voted for, and here's who won, and here's the total number of people that voted for that person. And here's all the serial numbers.
Yeah. It's very suspect when you don't want to do that.
And, voter ID is the same thing.
Right.
Make sure that the person voting can legally vote.
Don't you realize, Dave, voter ID is an unsolvable problem. It's been this way since I was 10 years old. I remember them talking about voter ID. People are too poor. They can't get it. It's cost money. It's a poll test. There's no solution, Dave. We just can't come up with anything. But I was talking to my friend from India today at work, and literally we're talking about elections. And she's like, well, you have to have a license to vote. And I said, not in this country, you don't. She's like, what? And I told her about it. She goes, it's better in India than this place. Because you have to verify who you are.
Correct. And we went over this a bunch of weeks ago about the nurses' strike. It said right in there, you must have an ID to vote.
Yeah.
So if they can do it, why can't the state do it?
It's unsolvable. We don't know what to do. Well, what if we, as people came to vote and didn't have an ID, Then we took them to the side and we took an ID picture and got an address from them. And then we shipped that out to them. And so after 4 or 5 years, we do that. And then everybody who wanted to vote and got an ID would get a free ID. And then we would now require IDs.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, that's
people don't know how to do that. That's fascism. Yeah. Fascism, the definition of new fascism is I don't like it.
Correct. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to your favorite person.
Yes.
This is in Hennepin County. So why don't you go through this? You were talking about the carjacking thing to me. So can you explain this?
Yeah. Mary Moriarty, they passed a law in 2023. And if you go in this article, it tells you what the law was in 20. So the Dem trifecta in 23, they passed a law changing the laws for carjacking, violent carjacking. And she's not following it. You know, it's a law that she's not following. So basically, in her county, there was 349 incidents of carjacking. 105 were submitted for charging. The rest of them were gerrymandered down to a lesser, to a misdemeanor. Some were dismissed, and two were subsequently prosecuted federally. 14 people in adult crimes for involving carjacking elements. Just 7 were charged using the new statute. The one Hennepin County convicted carjacker received a 90-day sentence to the Hennepin County Workhouse and a guarantee to reduce his conviction to a misdemeanor upon successful completion of probation.
Jesus.
So you had 349, and basically one went to jail.
That's fantastic.
You wonder why people are, continue to do it, because there's no consequences for your actions.
Right.
And she's going to make sure of it.
And like we talked about yesterday, what happens is they get this done and they get caught and nothing happens to them. They'll push it the next time. Now they'll push it further to see what they get away with. They just keep pushing it until there's a real consequence. But unfortunately for us, we're the ones who pay for that because they just keep getting worse and worse until they, happen to do something to an elected official. And then, then it's going to stop.
Well, yeah, even just this last week down there, they actually convicted a guy for killing 5 women in a car. And when they arrested him, he thought he was getting out of jail that day. So he kept doing it and kept doing it. He killed 5 people. Now he's getting 50 years. Obviously his parole is in 3 or 4 months, but because of her, but still he just kept increasing until 5 people had to die before he's learning his lesson.
Which is really sad. And those girls, they were young girls too, got killed. It's disgusting.
Yep. It's just, and so she's not following the laws basically. So, and you wonder why. 1, she was elected. So 1, we have to unelect her. We have to remove her from office.
Right.
And 2, Starbucks need to, Starbucks wouldn't hire her because she doesn't follow the rules. So.
Well, I didn't see any nose rings in her, so she wouldn't get hired anyway.
True.
Okay, I've got good news and bad news. The good news is we still got a lot of content. The bad news is we're only halfway through our pages of stuff. So I don't know. I'm going to have to pick and choose here. Maybe we'll just talk about them really briefly and not bring them up. I'm going to talk about the first one because this is national news now. And it talks about minimum wage costing jobs. So when you increase the minimum wage, which one of our Duluth City councilors wanted to do. So this is talking about California's $20 fast food minimum wage cost, a wage hike, costs a bunch of jobs.
Yep.
And the pay wage hike took effect in April 2024. So it was now $16 an hour, $20 an hour. And a new academic working paper finds the hike boosted wages for fast food workers by about 8%, which of course is going to do. It also reduced fast food employment in California by roughly 3% or 18,000 jobs. And that maths, as Jasmine would say.
Yeah.
Because when I was running a business and we were running a franchise hair salon, and my idea was, hey, we're not a ritzy place, but wouldn't it be nice to have somebody that was at the front desk, a receptionist or something, doing the, so the stylist could work, concentrate on their job, and the receptionist could do that and clean up a little bit between the, take the burden off the stylist. It's not a major job, but my margins were really thin, especially with franchise costs. And then Minnesota raised the minimum wage. Guess what I had to do? I had to cut their hours. So who suffered for this? Well, the receptionist suffered because I had less hours. The stylist suffered because I made them, they had to now cover the phones and the front desk when I didn't have a receptionist there. And I suffered and the customers suffered because they weren't getting as good a service. And I suffered because my stylists weren't very happy. The only people that made out was the state.
Correct.
They got more money, just like always. Yeah, you increase their wage for a little while, and then everything rises in prices, which is what? Inflation.
Inflation, yeah.
But who gets money? This government does. They get a higher payroll tax, so they're happy. Nobody else is happy because all the prices went up. The new spending power these people had is gone, and screw you.
Yep.
So yeah, another study has come out to say that. Next topic is California. The $100 million fire aid relief funds. Did it go to the people that needed it? The people that lost their homes? No. Where'd it go? Nonprofits.
Yep.
So administration costs. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, there's a website that looks at all the charities, and you'll see that, like Red Cross pays their CEO $2 million a year. So the first $2 million goes into her pocket. The SPCA is supposed to be helping animals, but $900,000 goes into his pocket first. So before you give to a nonprofit, go check out how much money actually makes it to the people who need the money. So
right. I'm going to go on. I want to share this one. I like the term champagne socialist. Zohran Mandati. So he went off and got married in Uganda in a private compound surrounded by armed guards in this lavish lifestyle he has. This is the socialist that wants to turn everything into a socialist state in New York. But apparently he can go to Uganda and just have the life of luxury whenever he wants it. Although he wants to ban guns, they have armed guards outside their compound, his parents' compound.
Right.
And I just want to say one more thing about the Sydney Sweeney thing. He's not wearing good jeans. I'll tell you that right now.
Definitely not. Yeah.
Ugh. So yeah, there's another guy. He's never worked a day in his life, and he just wants to take people's money, and suckers are going to vote for him too.
Yeah, so if you're in New York, make sure you don't vote for him. And then if you're in Minneapolis, don't vote for the socialist who was running for mayor.
Right.
So, can't remember his name, but we don't really want to know him. So
I don't want to know. I want to know him as the guy that ran for it and lost.
Yeah.
I think this is great. Democratic Party shared this. I don't know if people saw this. They tried to take a shot at Donald Trump by showing how inflation has been, wow, look at these grocery prices that reach record highs. And somebody pointed out, and I don't know if you can see this in this, but this starts on October 2019, October of 2020. And then what happened between October 2020 and 2021? Well, Joe Biden took over. And as a matter of fact, here's Joe Biden's reign. And look what happened. And so it's stabilized here. It's gone down a little bit under Trump. Alcohol's gone down, which is good for some people.
Yeah.
But these guys put this out as if they're owning Donald Trump, but at the same time, what they're showing is how bad Biden was. I love these guys. It makes you wonder, do they have a plant? Is there a Republican plant in the Democratic Party? Is Jasmine Crockett a plant? Is AOC a plant? You can't spew the kind of nonsense they do and not think that, wow, are you really for the Democrats, or are you just trying to get them ousted?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've talked about media bias forever, and even with I was watching it on Hulk Hogan's passing, and normally when they pass, they say what a great person is, and they go over things. But the news that I was watching, they were doing every negative thing that he ever has done in his life.
Yeah,
it's like, why would you bring that up now?
The reason they're doing it is because he went to Trump's rally last year and came out and said, he's a MAGA supporter. So therefore, evil, and we must destroy any legacy he had, any good stuff he did. We'll talk about this just a little bit in health and fitness down below too.
Okay, it's just tiring. So it's good that they got burnt on their own their own little setup. So.
I was showing this a little bit, but the teachers union is partnering with the World Economic Forum. The place that I was sending out yesterday, where it was like, we're going to develop this virus that makes you allergic to meat. And I decided I had too many articles, so I didn't put it on, but they're calling water now blue gold, and they want to start charging for that too. So you can't gather your rainwater, and they're going to make sure that you pay everything you own to be able to drink water. One of those essentials that we have.
Right.
So great. The teachers union is partnering with these guys. That's just fantastic.
Well, I mean, it is good that the Trump defunded WEF. So it's
yes.
Hopefully they'll go by the wayside like everybody else. So
they say that Matson, which is a company that ships vehicles, is no longer going to ship battery-powered cars, or what people call electric vehicles. I call them big go-karts.
True.
But they start on fire, and then the whole container goes up, and you can't put it out. So they just said, yep, we're not doing it anymore. If you had a booked ship, nope, here's your refund. We're not doing it.
Yeah, they've sunk in multiple ships because of battery fires.
Right.
So we've lost, 10, 20,000 vehicles because of battery fires. So
well, think of the waste and the impact of the environment.
Right.
Let's scan through some more of these. There was a guy who stopped. Somebody was stabbing people in a Walmart in Michigan, and a hero with a pistol took him out. And this is the problem with disarming people, which is what the New York governor wants to do, is ban basically just all guns. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, she wants a national boycott on that. But, how many people at this Walmart in Michigan were going to get stabbed unless a good guy with a gun came in and put a stop to it?
Right.
And that's the moral of the whole story is how many people, there's 4 or 5 people that died in the New York shooting. How many could have stopped that if they had guns on them?
Right.
It could have been stopped right away. Possibly.
Yeah, they didn't have the strictest gun control laws in the nation there.
Yeah. And so an ex-military guy had his gun on him, put a stop to the stabbings in Michigan. And
right.
that's what we've been saying the whole time. A good guy with a gun beats everything. Every single time. So
the other thing to think about too is, if there's a guy with a knife and you don't have a gun and you just try to stop him, you can get really seriously injured. You know, you're got a high chance of getting stabbed yourself. If you have a pistol, you take them out from distance.
Yep. And that's what stopped it, was a
Right.
good guy with a gun.
And that's happened more often than not in the last couple of years. Somebody's
Right.
going on a rampage and they get stopped because some citizen had a gun and used it. The problem is they make it sound like if you want to own guns or you want to own weapons, that you want to shoot people. That's not the case at all. I would hate to shoot somebody, no matter what. I would do it if you're attacking me or threatening my family, but I don't want to. I have no desire to. And people who own pistols, they like to target shoot. They like to shoot clay. You know, it's not about shooting people. It really isn't. It's about being able to protect yourself. Republicans are moving to declassify Hillary's thumb drives with her emails. I'm glad, because I've heard nobody's above the law. So Hillary's not above the law, right?
Nope. Well, we'll find out. And
Yeah, right. Well, I think we already know the answer to that.
yeah.
I thought it was really interesting, this next story. I'll share this one. So news media went through and said, we're going to do a poll. If the election for president were held today and the candidates were Democrat Barack Obama and President Donald Trump, who would you vote for? And they're like, hey, check it out. Barack Obama would win 54% to 43%. Oh, and Hillary Clinton would also beat Trump, 46%, 44%. And you know what struck me is, and this PJ Media says he's winning so hard, the Democrats have resorted to fantasy presidential election polls.
Yeah.
What it says to me is the Democrats are, I'm sorry, not Democrats. I seem to see that people that vote for these liberal policies and the people that really support these wild things are so desperate to be popular more than anything. Policy doesn't matter. Results don't matter. Facts don't matter. It's all about whether you're popular or not. And that's how they go through the whole, look at the Donald Trump peace scandal. Look at his hands aren't very big. Look at this. Look at that. It's all about shaming him so you can be in the in group. That's what it seems like to me. And maybe that's the reason I'm conservative, or I'm conservative because of this reason, is because I never really cared about being in a popular group. I'd more care about my own principles and keeping things, you know, to where I can live with myself. But it's more often than I know. I know a lot of people who are liberal, and it seems like that is their key thing is this popular? Is this what the crowd's doing? Is this, you know, am I going along with it? Am I going to be in? And that's what this poll seems like this to me.
Right. But even if you look at you look at the numbers, and Trump's numbers in his first term are a lot better than Barack Obama's numbers. So technically, he was a better president than Barack ever was. So, you know,
yeah. And plus the scrutiny he's faced versus what a Barack Obama faced. Barack Obama didn't face any scrutiny. I've never seen a president handle with such kid gloves in my entire life.
Yeah, and even now, they fought Trump the whole way, every single time they, you know, between the impeachments and between the trials, they tried to go after him every single time. Instead of, how about let's try to make America improve? Let's improve America and for your constituents instead of just going after Trump.
Right.
You know, how much better would the U.S. have been better off if they would have you know, done what they could to make America better instead of just Trump hating the whole time.
Right. I was talking to my wife, and I said to her, and I said to you, isn't it nice to finally have a president that seems to care about the American people first, as opposed to everybody else?
Right.
I hate feel like I'm a serf to the entire world so that I can work to give money so that these guys can do their philanthropy and give money out to the rest of the world to do their whatever social engineering they want. I love it. The fact that this president President Donald Trump is sticking up for us, the American
Right.
people first.
And
But
now
yeah,
and now the world is coming around to it. So
it's great.
South Korea just made a deal.
Yeah.
Brazil made a deal. The EU just made a deal, and we expect them to do things for their country, and they are.
Yes, exactly.
But it's going to be on a more equal trading with the U.S. than before. So
Right. And we were talking about this yesterday, and you were saying, why is South Korea taking advantage of us like this? That's their job. They're supposed to get the best deal they can. If they can find a weak president or presidents and they can lean on them, they're going to do it. This guy, Donald Trump, does not allow that. So now they're coming around and we're getting a really good deal. We're opening up their market. We're going to move manufacturing back to the United States. We're going to be energy independent. I think if we can get through this in the next couple of years and this keeps going, people are going to be amazed how good it is to live here. It's going to be fantastic. We have to
and
get
in
through the
their
next couple of years.
countries, and in their countries, because they're gonna start feeling, because for the first time, Japan is going to take U.S. cars.
Right.
So, I mean, that's a huge step for U.S. manufacturing.
Right. And UK is taking U.S. beef for the first time.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's going to
if you're
improve
an
their
American,
country. It's going to improve our country.
I can see if you're not from this country that you don't like it. But me being a resident of this country, I love it because at least we're trying. We're
Yep.
trying to get a better deal for us. I wanted to bring up this next article, and I'm not going to show it, but New York Times posted a picture of somebody in Gaza, and they basically showed it as if it was a kid starving to death in Gaza, which I'm sure there's starvation if they don't have any food. But the picture they used happened to be a kid who had a pre-existing condition. It wasn't because of starvation he was like this, but they didn't really let that be known. They just showed the picture to get the emotion. And then once the emotion's out, then they can do their little retraction on it. So they have admitted to it, apparently, that it was a pre-existing condition. And if you've seen the picture and you were really moved by it, just check yourself and figure out, when you're being shown stuff like that, is it to make you feel a certain way?
Yes, the media's job is to push their agenda. They're going to manipulate you. So, like we do in this show, we have to verify things. Go verify for yourself what's actually happening.
Well, we try to verify it, but I can't say that we have the means to do as much as we need to. So we rely on you to do your investigation too, from what you hear from this. And I can't tell you 100% of what we say is true. All I can do is say, we're not making up the links that we find and what we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, we try, and that's the main thing.
Right. That's right. Try your best. I'm going to show this because I thought this was quite amusing. I'm skipping forward a list a little bit because we're at a hour and a half now. This is what some of the Southern Democrats think.
And as we have seen, as certain states have deported immigrants, what's happened? The crops are not being picked. The hotels do not have anyone providing the service.
Who will clean our rooms? Who will pick our crops? It's like the 1850s all over again. And I don't know if you heard the Hunter Biden speech, the foully laced, dropping the F-bomb in every other word, but he was the same thing. Who do you think's cleaning your dishes? Who do you think's picking your food? I mean, there really is a class of people who think that these immigrants, these illegal immigrants, are for nothing other than just cheap labor. They don't look at them as humans.
No, we talked about it. There's the left basically thinks there's, just barely above, 1850 slaves, 1800 slaves.
Who will pick our crops?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, they think they're so high and mighty, but
I want to talk about the UK's, now we're at international news, the UK's Online Safety Act goes into effect. So they're again, we're protecting people. We're protecting kids. You can't go to see, you have to do age verification to use YouTube. I think YouTube has been banned for people under 16 years old. And I think that's in the UK. I could be in Australia, but there's age verification. So you know what age verification gets you? It gets you a way to identify the person that's online so you can track what they're looking at.
Correct. Yeah.
So I hate to break it to the UK, and maybe this is too brand new technology because it's only been around for 30 years. But if somebody wants to protect their kids from porn sites, there's firewalls that you can use to do that. So that if you really can't trust your kid, and if you really think that, watching is looking at naked pictures of people is going to turn them into, I don't know, serial killers, there are firewalls that you can have and rules that you can put in place to prevent that from your home network. And you can block things from their phone. There's already mechanisms for this. This is nothing more than the government's way to track what you're doing and to make sure they can verify you so that they can punish you for what you're doing, because they're already punishing people for how they think. Why wouldn't they punish them for what they're linking on?
Right. So if they wanted to, they could declare this podcast a menace to society. And if we happen to fly over to Europe and we happen to stop on, if we transfer flights through while we're in Britain or England, they can arrest us.
Right.
Because that's offensive to them. And everyone's feelings over in Europe are not, or I should say England. That's the most important thing, is people's feelings.
Yeah. Isn't it wild? I mean,
so they're going so far left. They're making Hitler look like a nice guy,
Right. I saw this thing on the Babylon Bee. It was a girl went back in time and she was going to kill Hitler. And she's like, aha, I'm going to get you. He was like, why does everybody come back in time trying to kill me? And she's like, well, we want to get rid of you because, this rise in fascism. He's like, well, what do you like? Well, we want to disarm everybody. Hey, that's my idea too. I did that when I was leader. Well, we want to prohibit what people talk about so they don't hurt people. Hey, I did that too. And so guys, gets down to the part where she's like, she goes, well, we're so close. We just have to get rid of some of the undesirable people. Hey, I like that too. Like the Jews. And she goes, yeah, us too. Oh,
yeah.
She finally realizes. And at the very end, she's like, well, the people who eat meat, I'm a vegetarian. He goes, hey, so am I. And everything's lining up to Hitler. Kind of the same thing. We talked a little bit about this, but Trump landed an EU trade deal. European Union is to purchase $750 billion in U.S. and invest $600 billion in the U.S. to purchase a vast amount of military equipment, so they're actually start paying their fair share.
Correct.
And they opened up their market to U.S. goods, and there's a 15% reciprocal tariff. So I saw Bill Maher talking about the tariffs. That smarmy guy I cannot stand. But he's like, he admits he's wrong about the tariffs, and he's sitting there, with his little pencil cigar because he's, an elite. And he's like, oh, I thought, as most people did, that the tariffs were going to be a bad thing, but they're actually a good thing. No, Bill, only you and your circle of friends thought they were a bad thing. A lot of us knew they were a good thing, and they've been used for years. This isn't a brand new policy. It's just that they haven't been used to benefit America recently, and now they are.
Yeah, because Obama was using them, Biden was using tariffs, all presidents were using them, but like you said, they weren't benefiting the U.S. Now Trump turned it so they were benefiting the U.S. So
right. And I want to just mention one last thing that I saw, and I thought that was good. And Trump mentioned it. He said, we sent $60 million for 2 weeks of food in Gaza, and nobody's reporting on it. So you see all these people talking about the starving kids in Gaza. Well, the United States stepped up and sent 2 weeks worth of food. Where is it being reported? Nobody, except the Duluth Conservative. See, you get your news here.
Good job. That's very nice. That's
right.
good.
All right, let's move on to health and fitness. And I put some things on here that may or may not be in health and fitness, but I thought they were interesting enough to put in.
Yeah.
So the first thing is, and I've talked about this before, and I probably don't want to say the wrong words because we'll get a shadow banned on some systems, but secret solar geoengineering experiment in California halted amid backlash. So they secretly planned a massive solar geoengineering experiment to dim sunlight by spraying seawater aerosols over 3,900 square miles, aiming to cool the planet. So they're doing it. They're doing these things in secret. And only when they get caught do they stop it.
Right. So
we need to.
So think about the moronic irony of the two things. One, we're going to cool the planet by putting clouds in there and so we can't see the sun. And we're going to put up solar panels that need the sun to create electricity. Wait, no, we're going to block the sun. No, we need the sun. No, we're going to block the sun. Oh, but wait, the sun needs the power.
I saw a Star Trek episode on this and the robot's head explodes at the end.
Okay, that makes sense to me. I can see why. Yeah.
I was going to say that about just going back to the smoke coming into Duluth. It's really annoying because it makes me have to wipe down my solar panels for my clean electricity so many times.
Yeah.
All right. So I wanted to show this because I watched this video and I wanted to play this video. And I want to, it's like a pop quiz. If you didn't, you're going to know who it is, unfortunately, but everybody knows who this is, but let me
Making the mRNA is really easy and really cheap. And that's the magic of this thing. But there's no doubt in the next 5 years, we can, we just need to mess around. There's a lot of lipid nanoparticles and some are very self-assembling. There's no inherent reason it's not thermostable. It's not cheap.
Okay, I'm going to stop him there at first, and I'm going to ask the question. Bill Gates or crazy guy down at the bus stop that's talking to you as you're trying to wait for a bus? Now you keep watching and watch his hand motions, watch his facial motions, listen to what he says.
And it's not scalable. And so as over the 5 years, we fix that part of it, mature it, which is very typical. We'll be able to build factories worldwide that can make $2 vaccines with even less lead time than we've had to have here during this pandemic.
This scares me to death, what he's talking about. It's almost like we didn't live for thousands of years without a vaccine.
Right.
Now, what were we getting when we went to school? 7 vaccines, I think?
Something like that, yeah.
And they were the real one. They were actual dead cells of like polio and not chickenpox at that time, but other things like measles and mumps and all that stuff. Now they're like at 63, I think.
Yeah, it was upper 60s, yeah.
What's the end game for this? What happens when you mix all these vaccinations together? What's that do to your body? I mean, what does it do to people who didn't get that vaccination? Are you going to kill them? I don't know. But watching this guy, it seems like his end goal. And remember, this is a guy who was good at software, at stealing, well, quote unquote, stealing other people's software developments and making them his own.
Yeah.
Somehow he got into this position of making vaccinations for human bodies. And I do know this much. He's never going to step into India again because I think they have a warrant out for his arrest. So I won't play that whole thing, but I will put a link to it. But watching that, I was like, yeah, that could easily be somebody sitting down on Superior Street, sitting in one of those things, saying the same stuff with the same hand motions and stuff. So, yeah, buddy, you're kind of fried. Let's see. Oh, so I got 2 more things and then we're almost done. Just hang on with us for a little bit more.
Yep.
We got to be under 2 hours though. So have you heard of this guy named Joey Swoll?
Yes, I have. He's a influencer. I don't know but basically he's trying to reform gyms because people have very poor etiquette at gyms, and he's trying to set a standard for gym etiquette and quit the filming. It's not your gym, so quit the filming. And that's basically what that's his fame is. I would say gym etiquette if I was going to boil it down.
Yeah. So doesn't he finds, so there was a trend apparently of girls putting up a camera, wearing the super tight, skimpy outfits, working out. And then if there's a guy walking past and he happens to look at her, or some guy's probably leering at him, they shame them on the internet and they get their clicks for that.
Yeah.
And that's what he's trying to stop, right?
Correct. Basically.
So apparently he went and put a video out after Hulk Hogan passed away. And we talked about Hulk a little bit earlier. And he was a big influence to him. This guy, I don't know what his real name is, Joey Swole. He was a big influence to him to get into physical fitness because Hulk Hogan was a big dude. He did a lot of steroids, but he was a big dude. And that was his big thing, be good, say your prayers, eat your vitamins, something like that.
Yeah.
So he posted a video of him dressing up like Hulk Hogan like 10 years ago in the whole Hulkster outfit. And this guy's pretty ripped too. Well, there was a big backlash. Don't you know how evil Hulk Hogan was? He said a racist term in a private conversation once. And,
right.
Ultimately it was because he went to a Trump rally last year. So then the guy made the ultimate bad move. And you know what that is? He apologized.
Oh, yeah.
And now he's, because they don't accept the apology. They just attack further. It's like blood in the water for sharks. So the guy has said he's just off social media altogether. I didn't know who he was before, but
Joey Swole's a big guy, and
yeah, he's a big dude.
And so he's doing a great service, by showing what actually happens and presenting actual facts and stuff like that. So just because he liked the guy, but like you said, he shouldn't have apologized.
Shouldn't apologize. And you know what? He was a big influence when he was a kid. I used to like Bill Cosby. I'm not ashamed of that. He had a great comedy special, and it turns out he was a creepy dude, apparently, who, drug girls, and I don't know why, but that doesn't mean that I can't have liked the Cosby Show or liked his comedy act. I mean, sure, when you watch it now, you watch it with a different flavor. It's not, but at the same time, just because you like somebody that did something that you don't agree with doesn't make you a bad person either. And he shouldn't have. Only people that are weak that don't really have their own convictions are the ones that will apologize this quickly about something that's really not a problem. And he might have been sincere. He's like, oh, I found all those horrible stuff he did, and I'm really sorry. Just leave it alone. Do the American Eagle thing. Just ignore it.
Yeah.
It'll just die out on its own. If there's not enough clicks, it'll just move on to something else.
Exactly.
All right. I'm going to, okay, we're wrapping up. 143, we're almost there.
We're getting close.
Last thing in our health and fitness segment is President Trump signed an executive order to bring the presidential fitness test back to public schools. That's great. When we were in school, physical fitness was promoted. It's good for your mind. It's good for your body. It's good for your overall health. I think this is a great thing. I don't know much about it other than he's doing it.
Yeah.
But I think it's good. Anytime we can promote physical fitness. Say what?
I haven't seen any of the details on what, so but still the concept is correct.
Right. I think I want to end on that. I'm not going to talk about Eric Sowell doing weightlifting. We're going to end on that. We're going to end on a good note. So I went running a couple times. I happened to go out 2 days ago, I think, when it was beautiful outside. And then I went running and I'm like, wow, why am I having such a hard struggle doing this 3.5 miles? I mean, it shouldn't be that big of a struggle. And then I came back and found the air quality index at that point was 135. So the smoke had come back.
Right.
It looks like I'm not going to be running until maybe Sunday now. Probably go to the treadmill at one of these days. And then we did hit the weights a couple times this week. So how about you?
Yeah, I hit the weights, and then on off nights I would do my cardio at home. So relatively successful week. I think I gotta move from weights to more cardio myself, but we'll figure that one out eventually. So,
well, but we did
cardio-
determine you are an elite weightlifter still.
Yes, according to national statistic, I'm an elite, but I'm also morbidly obese because of my weight. So,
So am I. No, I'm not. I'm not morbidly obese. I'm
you're
overweight.
obese. You're just obese. I'm not. I'm
I'm
morbidly
just
obese.
overweight.
So
I'm morbidly. But you're lifted like an elephant, man. Just there you go.
yeah. So 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. So
You got to take good with the bad, the yin and the
Yep.
yang, right? All right.
So-
I think that's all I got. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
no, I think we've talked enough for tonight. So
All right. Sounds good. We'll be back here next week. Same time, same channel. Until then, everybody, I appreciate you coming on. Please like and subscribe. Tell your friends. The more clicks we get, the more exposure we'll get through YouTube. So, and then have a great week. Go out, do something fun. It's going to be a lot of stuff happening, like we talked about in the earlier segment. If you're in Duluth, there's lots of stuff to do. Go outside. It's like having a pack of unfiltered Canadian cigarettes out there right now, but should get better, hopefully. And appreciate you watching. Here's a Shaka. Have a good night. I'm Sean.
I'm Dave.
And this is Duluth Conservative. Thanks for watching.